All right. Hello, my name is Caitlin McCarthy. I'm in SPCE 638, and this is my case study number 2. For my description of student B, he is 7 years old. He's currently in the 2nd grade. His diagnoses include autism spectrum disorder and a speech-language impairment. His educational setting is in a self-contained classroom. He is educated with 6 other students, all of whom have autism spectrum disorder or a significant developmental delay between the grades of kindergarten, or between the ages of kindergarten and 5th grade. His classroom contains 1 special education teacher and 2 paraprofessionals. His behaviors of concern include elopement and tantrum behavior. Student B is able to communicate wants and needs verbally, but it is sometimes difficult to understand what he's saying due to his speech impairment. He enjoys conversing verbally with teachers specifically, and some peers, but phrases are very short and kind of tricky to understand. His target behaviors include elopement and tantrum behavior. Elopement in this case is any instance or attempt to move from a designated area by 3 or more feet. His teacher does allow him to move around his seat during instructional time, but he just can't leave by more than 3 feet. Examples include leaving one's assigned seat, running across the room, and leaving the group work table to engage in another activity. Non-examples include leaving a designated area during free time. For this student, he fortunately does not often attempt to leave the room, but will become upset and leave his seat and run across the room to the calm down corner, which is sometimes appropriate, or to sit in a chair and kind of not engage with the group. Tantrum behavior in this case is a bit lengthy. It's any instance of 2 or more of the following behaviors occurring at one time. This can include crying, vocalizations that are louder than a normal speaking voice, lasting longer than 3 seconds, with tears, throwing objects, screaming, same as crying except without the tears, hitting, and flopping to the floor. The assessment used in this case was a functional behavior assessment. This included partial interval data collection for 5 days, ABC data collected for 5 days, a parent interview, and the following specialists were interviewed: his speech and language pathologist and occupational therapist, and there were 5 direct observations made across multiple settings. This included the classroom, the lunchroom, motor lab, and specials, which is like gym, technology, and music. The data showed that 87% of instances of elopement and tantrums were immediately followed by attention from an adult. In situations where attention was not immediately provided, the behavior escalated in severity until attention was given. Specialists and teachers that were interviewed hypothesized that student B's behavior was an effort to obtain attention from classroom staff and administration. Student B's mom and aunt reported that tantrum behavior was most likely to occur in situations where attention from them was not available, sometimes when they were caring for a sibling or cousin, or when they're cooking dinner. Both of student B's target behaviors appear to be socially mediated and a function of attention. Our intervention is operant extinction. Some environmental modifications that took place are a classroom lock that remains engaged throughout the day to prevent elopement from the room. This will make it easier to put that elopement on extinction because we won't have to worry about him leaving the room. When the student elopes, the plan was to block the exit while providing minimal attention or physical contact. Because while there's a lock on the classroom door, there is not a lock on motor lab or specials. So placing oneself between the client and the door was helpful. Tantrums, when a tantrum occurs, monitor student B while continuing to withhold attention. If the tantrum includes property destruction, staff was instructed to clear the area of anything that could be thrown. If physical aggression occurred, staff was instructed to move themselves and other students out of the way. In a couple cases, they had to evacuate the room, but typically the student B would not aggress towards people unless they were in his space. In addition to extinction, differential reinforcement of alternative behavior was implemented. The alternative behaviors being reinforced were functional communication, requesting attention appropriately by saying, hey, look, or can you help me, or can you play with me? Waiting was reinforced, and playing and completing work independently was reinforced. Reinforcers, very easy for the student because he loves the attention. So verbal praise, high fives, great job, engaging in play together when possible, and helping with work. Of course, the teacher is always helping with work when it is needed, but oftentimes the student is able to complete the work, but just wants help, to hang out, to have attention. So as a reinforcer, helping with work when it's not already required. In considering stimulus control, sometimes when the student was more likely to engage in these behaviors or when another student was receiving a lot of attention. For example, one day during observation, the paraprofessionals and the teacher were complimenting another student, great job, good vocabulary, that was great that you said that, and student B begin to engage in target behaviors seemingly out of the blue. So when another student is receiving a lot of attention and student B continues to engage in those replacement behaviors, reinforcement should be provided as quickly as possible because we wanted to reinforce that. Additionally, after prolonged periods of attention being unavailable, there were increased instances of target behaviors. So after these periods of unavailability, reinforcement should be provided as well. Our outcomes were fantastic. After 1 week, elopement had decreased from 40% to 0%, and tantrums decreased from 40% to 5%. Tantrums, while the duration, the frequency, the intervals decreased, the severity actually had increased. So there were more instances of property destruction and physical aggression. This may be an example of extinction burst. So more data will be needed to see if that continues to decrease or further action is needed. And that is it.